So okay, here we are in lesson 4 where we're going to create our menu bar, our ribbon effect. And even though this isn't a difficult course to do, this is going to be the most challenging lesson in this course. So hopefully you'll pick up some nice new techniques here. So we're going to continue on from lesson 3 where we had our document set to 1200 by 2100. And we installed and set up the 960 grid system. And we defined a couple of patterns, and we've set our background pattern using a pattern overlay and the layer styles. Okay. So the first thing we're going to want to do is to set our foreground to a brown colour. So if you open up the foreground colour down the bottom here in the tools panel, and set the foreground colour to 8E6345, making sure that web colours is unchecked. Go to our final design. You'll notice that the actual menu bar is about 60 pixels high. Yep. So to make sure we can see that's going to be 60 pixels high, we can open up our info palette, and you can do that if it's not open down here or it isn't available down on the right hand side. You can go to Window, down to Info, or you can just press F8 on your keyboard and open it up, and we're looking at the height, which is here. So with the rectangle tool selected and with shape layers selected up the top here, you've got shape layers, paths and fill pixels. Let's keep it to shape layers, and then when we drag out our shape at 60 pixels high, it will create a layer for us. That'll do, it doesn't matter. And I'll set the stars quickly. So it sets our gives us a layer straight away there. And like I said, we can just tap into that and just change the colour to whatever we want. Okay, so just add some layer styles to this shape. So we go to our layer and the layers palette. Right click on the thumbnail, choose blending options and bring up our layer styles. And the first style we can put in is our pattern overlay. So we click pattern overlay and just find our stripy pattern that we installed or created ourselves, which is here. And instead of clicking OK, just click away from this dialog box. And we're going to want to change the blend mode. Let's change that to overlay and bring down the opacity to 65%, about 65, and scale down to 50%. Okay, so instead of clicking OK, what we're going to do now is go to our grading overlay. So click grading overlay, open up our grading editor, and we are going to create 2 more color stops. So we're going to put one here, and we're going to click and put one here. Now the left color stop is going to be kept to black, but then we're going to open up this one and we're going to give it a color of 808080. Ooh, wrong one. Yeah, right. 808080. This is a grey colour, and we're going to do the same for this one. This one's going to be B2, B2, B2. Then over to our last one, and that will be a 4C, 4C, 4C. Okay, so click OK there. Alright, it's not looking very nice, is it? So what we're going to do is going to change the blend mode. Okay, so let's change the blend mode here to soft light. Go to blend mode, change it to soft light. And then we are going to bring the opacity down to about 30%. And the scale, everything else we're going to leave. Okay, yep, that's fine. Okay, a couple more. We're going to give it a outer glow. No, we'll give it an inner glow. We'll give it an inner glow. And yeah, change that to white. I'm going to set the blend mode to overlay. And we're going to bring down the opacity to 30%. Roundabouts. And size we're going to set to 2. Then last but not least, we're going to give it a drop shadow. So go to drop shadow, bring down the opacity to 35%, the angle at 120, distance at 204. Click OK, and let's hide our guys now. Okay, so there we have the all the styles done for the menu. What we're going to do now is going to create the left and the right tassel or ribbon, what you want to call it. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring my guys back again, Control H on my keyboard, and I'm going to enlarge the document slightly by Control plus on my keyboard, and space bar to drag that across. Okay, so I'm going to drag out a couple more guides. I'm going to do one from the top, that's in line with the top of our bar, and I'm going to do one down below, bottom of our bar, and I'm going to do one central. Doesn't have to be completely centre, it's roughly there. So I'm going to bring one across to about there. Okay, so this square here at the end is going to be our tassel. Okay, so with the pen tool selected and with shape layer still selected, what we can do is we can do our shape, and our shape will then automatically put in our layer styles for our menu, so we don't have to go through that again. So we click here at the corner and hold down our shift key on our keyboard and click here, then again down there, and again here, and then take your finger off the shift key, do that about in the middle, and finish off our shape. Okay, so hide our guides again, Control H, and I'm going to give this a name. I'm going to call it left corner, and we're going to drag that underneath our menu bar, and then we're going to use our arrow keys on our keyboard, and we're just going to shift that, making sure the move tool is selected. I'm going to shift that down and across. Okay, then what we've got to do now is to create a little triangle here for the shadow. Then we're going to finish off with a little bit of a drop shadow here as well, blurred shadow. Okay, so with the pen tool selected again, no need to create a new layer because our shape layers will create it for us. So let's bring our guys back so we've just got something to go by. Control plus to make that a little bit bigger so we can see a more clearer. So we can hide our guides, actually we'll hide our guides. Okay, so if you click here and down to there, up to there, I'll tell you what, okay. Ooh, okay. Sorry about this. Right, up to there, there, down to there. Okay, so there's our shape. We can make that a little bit darker. Click that away. So you can see it's taken shape, literally, and all we need to do now is give it a little bit of a shadow at the edge here, and we do that with a, if we just rename, I'm just going to go to my layers palette and rename this as nav BG so we know where we are, and call that shadow or corner shadow. Okay, so we want a layer underneath this one, so if you create just a normal layer and using the rectangle marquee tool, just drag out a selection right there, fill that with black, push D on your keyboard to make that black, foreground black, fill it with the paint bucket tool, then go up to filter, down to blur, and down to Gaussian blur. 4.9 is fine. Okay, then bring down the opacity probably down to about 30%. That would do about 50%. Okay, And there you have your left side done. Okay, so let's rename our layer shadow, the new layer. And we're going to group all these together so that way we can copy them and shift over to the right hand side. So with the shadow layer selected, hold down the shift key and click left corner so they're all selected, then Control G on your keyboard to group them and call it left corner. Make sure that's all in there. Yep. Now with the move tool selected, we can hold down our shift key and our alt key, alt key, and when we do that we see two arrows appear, black and white arrows on our cursor. Okay, so when it's done that, just click and drag and it'll make a exact copy. Leave it there, take your fingers off, then go up to edit, down to transform and flip horizontal. Then with our key arrows on our keyboard we can just shift that into position. Okay, that looks fine to me. Give that a little bit of a increase the size. We can take a good look at what we are. Yeah, it needs to come down a little bit, so okay. And there we have it. All we've got to do now is the stitching. There's a couple of other ways you can do this. Some people create their own brushes, but the easiest way I found is to use the type tool. So go to horizontal type tool. Make sure that Arial is chosen for the font at regular 12 pixels in size, and we just need to click anywhere on there and use our minus sign on our keyboard, go right across to the end, and then we're going to give it a drop shadow, get it right to the edge there. Shift that across, see if it's right to the edge. Okay, that should do. Actually, let's do a couple more, or one more should be enough. Yep. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention was the character set. What we need to do is increase each character, give them some tracking in each character. So if you open up your character palette, go to Window Character, and what we need to do is increase the tracking to 240. At the moment you've probably got it down to 0, but you just want to add that to 240, put that in there, and that'll space each character out nicely like that. Okay, so let's give it a drop shadow. So go to our layer styles, give it a drop shadow and set the blend mode to overlay. Set to overlay, turn the opacity down to about 30%, and set the distance. Make sure that angle is 120. Distance is set to 1, and the rest is 0. And click OK. Now what we need to do now is turn the opacity down and the whole thing to about 45%. Okay, so then make a copy of that by holding down our shift key and alt key. Two arrows appear and drag that down. Let's go over a little touch. Okay, just to make sure we've got this looking like our final design, let's quickly have a look at that. Just drag that down here, increase our new one. Look at that, let's see, so looking good, looking how we want it to look, and all we need to do now is create a stitch at the top and bottom of our corners. Do exactly the same thing. We can just click there and to people, that's about right. Hold down our so select the move tool, hold down the shift and alt key, click and drag down, and I think that's that. Move that up slightly, that one down slightly. That's okay. And then just to give it the same drop shadow, we're going to click or hold down the alt key and then just drag our FX. See where the FX icon is on the layer? Just hold down the Alt, click on that, and just drag that down into that one, and again into that one. Then with them both selected, holding down the Shift key, click top one and the bottom one, turn the opacity down to 40, was it 45? 44%. That's right. Then with them two selected again, still we can do our copy with our Alt and Shift key. So hold that down, drag that across, and there you have it. Okay, so looking good. All we need to do now is create our buttons, and we'll do that in the next lesson, where we'll take a look at how we can download Google fonts, and how we can create the hover state for our home button, where we create an effect called letterpress effect. Very simple to do. Okay, so thanks for watching, and see you in the next lesson.